So the final eight settled, but not without plenty of drama, injuries with big ramifications, upsets and some beltings. Let's pick the eyes out of the weekend's action in Hot or Not.
Footyology's Hot or Not is proudly brought to you by Trade Institute of Victoria. Start your future today at tiv.vic.edu.au.
Well, I'm going to start this week, Finey, and I'm going to start with a very hot, and it's taken a while, but big Jonathon Patton. He's finally turning into that monster key forward that we thought he would when he was drafted. Seems like a long time ago now. It's actually not that long ago. But this was a career best for him. 6 goals. He took 14 marks. He took 8 marks. He had 14 disposals. But just the last few weeks, he's kicked 10 in the last 3 games now, and you can see his confidence coming back. More ease about his movement. He's looking a lot more mobile. And in the absence of Jeremy Cameron having the sort of dominant season he's had before, this guy's looming is absolutely crucial to their flag hopes.
Agreed. Any 6 goals in an AFL game for Jonathon Patton was going to be a big step forward confidence-wise. For his sake, let's not mention who his various opponents were.
Yeah, no, fair point. Fair point. All right, you're up.
I'm going to go for, it's been done a bit during the week, but we had her first, Mo Hope.
Footyology's Mo Hope.
Football's Mo Hope. She's, was a real great personality, but she bagged the 100. She kicked her 100th goal.
And this is it right here.
And there she goes.
Is that at the Peanut Farm?
No, that does not look Peanut Farm to me.
No, I'm not sure where it is.
Seems almost fitting that the team that were on the receiving end of that
Richmond jump
100th goal was Richmond.
Now, Mo plays for the St Kilda Sharks, of course.
But 100 goals in a season, it's a fantastic effort, and she, in fact, in kicking 100th goal, showed her range of skills as she outmarked, outmanoeuvred, and then quickly swung on to her right boot to kick a goal. Great footballer and a great, one of the marquee players for the AFL Women's League, but she'll be a great ambassador. She's not cookie cutter, obvious, sort of good looking. She's good looking. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But she's not the obvious front cover girl that you might pick for footy with tattoos and with a really earthy backstory. We like Mo Hope a lot.
Yep, no, she's a star. All right, my turn, and it's a not, and it's a Gold Coast. And they went on a week-long road trip to Melbourne, and it's fair to say it was a spectacular disaster. Last week, of course, they let Essendon win their 2nd game of the season. And Saturday night against Collingwood, well, that was about the only time they showed a bit of intensity. That's Stephen May butting heads there. But they were just so far off the pace, it wasn't funny. Game was effectively over at quarter time. They'd kick 1 goal 6, I think, to half time. Just uncompetitive. And look, Rodney Eade after the game did say, they've had an incredible lot of injuries. He claimed that they only had about 25, 26 fit players to choose from. But you've still got to be competitive, don't you? And they were okay for about 6 or 7 weeks. Their last 2 have been absolute rubbish. And the road trip, well, they're none for 2 on the road trip idea. You remember Robert Walls took Brisbane over to Perth for a week in 1995. They got belted twice. Well, this was even worse for the Gold Coast, so I reckon next time they've got back-to-back Melbourne games, they might just go home again.
Couple of observations. First of all, Stephen May, he is a great footballer.
He is.
He copped, in that really desperate attack on the ball, he got rattled. He doesn't complain, he doesn't whinge. He gives it and he cops it, and he's a really good footballer. The old question, what comes first, chicken or egging? What's more important, midfield or having great key position players? Well, we're learning with Gold Coast, without a midfield, you can have the best key position players in the history of the game. They're not going to kick anything because they ain't going to get anything.
Yeah, good point. Okay, your turn.
I'm going to go from Mo Hope to no hope, and that is what Ray Chamberlain has of doing finals or a grand final after his inept bouncing of the ball after goals in the game between Essendon and Western Bulldogs.
And here it is.
Good old Ray Chamberlain. Whoops!
Oh.
Barely got Ray Chamberlain height, that one. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying because he didn't bounce well that he won't be able to do finals. He did something quite extraordinary in this game, and that is, at the next occasion that he was required to do the centre bounce, he threw it up without bouncing it.
The bounce, yeah.
That's almost a mea culpa. That's it, I'm out.
Yeah, no, fair point. It was certainly noticed by the punters, that's for sure. Yep. Okay, last one from me, and it's a hot again, and it's Boomer Harvey. And we've talked about him a bit this year, but all it took was a couple of poor games for people to start writing him off and saying he should retire. Well, yet again, not for the first time, the response was fairly emphatic against Sydney. Now, this is a record-breaking game against St Kilda, but he was terrific against the Swans. 32 possessions, kicked 3-2, easily their best player, close to probably best player on ground. And anyone who wants him to retire has got to be kidding themselves, because he's got at least another season, if not longer, left in him.
Look, it was a good game, Brave effort by North, and he was central to the Brave performance.
Absolutely. Okay, you finish us off.
My last hot or not is you.
What?
Rohan Connolly.
What have I done?
You set the cat amongst the pigeons with that question to Nathan Buckley.
Oh, yeah, in the coach's box.
It was just well timed. Coach's box on 11:16 SEN, just to paraphrase, basically asked whether or not another season out of the finals next year would mean that would be your last season, Nathan. And being an honest bloke who was asked a question, he answered it. Eddie Maguire would come out and say afterwards, he's too honest, he shouldn't have answered that question. But Eddie, that was Eddie the president, not Eddie the former journo. So well done. It's caused a lot of discussion, not only about Nathan, but about the level of frankness in answering by coaches and players, and I think you might have raised the bar a bit for all of us.
No, well, thank you. It's a great format, the coach's box, and it wasn't the only thing he was very honest about too. We asked him about the handover from
Cloak,
about Cloak, and about the handover of the coaching job from Malthouse to him, and I think that longer format really allows these guys to relax and feel like their answers have some context. They're not just little pithy sound bites. And
why lie? Why not tell the truth?
Yep. No, it was a terrific performance from Bucks, and it was interesting, the reaction too. I think a lot of Collingwood fans who haven't been that enamoured with his coaching said to me, you know what, I really appreciate that honesty, if nothing else. So I don't think he was that calculated about it, but it was a good gesture on his part.
Just quickly, did Damien Hardwick virtually say the same thing by coming out and saying we will make the finals next year? He's almost staking his reputation on it.
Yeah, well, it was a brave call. I don't know in retrospect whether he would be that wrapped with himself for making it. But look, perhaps he's deliberately putting himself under pressure. Who knows? Again, time will tell. Time for a short break. When we return, our number one news hound's back from Sri Lanka, where we think he'd agree the AFL pretty quickly became far more palatable than the cricket tour he was supposed to be covering. But first, let's get to the post-game press conferences and Grant Dickinson's never-ending quest for pearls of wisdom among all the taking each week as it comes, and within these four walls recitals in the pressing questions.
It's happened to a lot of the players, but we haven't got a lot to pick from, and now we've just got a motor on.
Rodney, you picked a little Gary Ablett lookalike from the National Australia Bank ads. That was a stroke of genius.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
think it's a credit to him. He's been able to churn it out. Like, he played on Pendles for a fair bit of the night.
Amazing.
He's a tough kid. He's a bit more physically developed than a lot of our other youngsters.
For a 5-year-old, yeah.
And I think he just wants to grab his opportunity. He needs some fine tuning in some areas. I think he's kicking at times and whatever, but at least he's got a fair bit of character and he works hard.
We specialise in building and construction. We're getting students that are coming from interstate. I mean, that's real acknowledgement for us. TIV, Trade Institute of Victoria, we're proud of our students.
You know, with all the programs they've had in place and the youth girls coming through, like I went and watched the Youth Girls Carnival a couple of months ago and I was blown away. Like, they were, you know, the skill level and the way they moved the ball was phenomenal. So the skill is definitely there.